You ever have one of those moments where you look back and think, that was it? That was the moment I should have walked away, but didn't? Yeah, mine was 3 years ago, sitting across from my husband at our shitty little IKEA dining table, staring at the cold pad thai he refused to eat because I didn't cook that night. That moment, it was just takeout. But the way he looked at me like I was some burden felt way deeper than some noodles. Let me rewind a bit. Back then, I was 35, burned out. I'd just quit my job at a marketing firm that treated boundaries like a joke and my mental health like a punchline. It was either leave or lose myself completely. Ethan, my husband at the time, was all, "Go for it. Babe, you've earned the break." He even told me he'd support us while I took a few months off. Cool. Right supportive husband move. Except, no, not even close. For context, Ethan was the cool coder dude type, CTO of some overhyped startup, full of buzzwords and fake hustle culture. The guy knew how to pitch dreams, but couldn't manage money to save his damn life. Anyway, I was careful. I wasn't freeloading. We had separate personal accounts and a joint one for groceries and bills. I had my own savings. I never asked him to cover my half. Like, ever. And for a while, things were okay. I slept, I cooked, I went to therapy, I smiled again. But then around month 3 of my break, Ethan turned into a different person. He started snapping at me for every little thing. "Why do we need oat milk and almond milk? I thought you were going to start working out again." "You bought new towels. Why?" At first I thought, okay, maybe he's stressed, maybe work is tough. But then I caught him looking at my Venmo like a damn auditor, questioning every transaction. Mind you, this was my money. Money I saved working 60-hour weeks while he played ping pong at co-working spaces. So I called him out. Straight up, "What the hell is going on with you?" He didn't answer, just sat there looking guilty. Then he said it. "I screwed up. I gambled some of our savings. Some, I asked." He looked down. "All of it. All of it." My stomach dropped. Turns out, Mr. Tech Bro had been dabbling in crypto, NFTs, online poker, whatever Reddit finance bros were hyping that week, and lost everything. Not just his, not just mine, the joint account too. Our mortgage payment bounced. The car was 2 months behind. We were broke. I swear to God, I felt like someone had ripped my lungs out and replaced them with cement. I wanted to scream, break things, but I didn't. I just stood there, numb, like I'd stepped into someone else's nightmare. I should have left right then. But I didn't, because I'm stupidly loyal. Because we had a life together. Because he cried and promised therapy and change and please, just don't give up on me. So I picked myself up. I went into full-on get-shit-done mode. Within 3 days, I had a new job offer. Higher pay. Amazing benefits. They even offered a signing bonus. I said yes without blinking. And Ethan, he went to 2 therapy sessions, said the guy didn't get him, then quit. Cool. We were still drowning, so I did the one thing I swore I wouldn't. I called Zach, Ethan's co-founder, also his best friend, also loaded. Zach had always been the calm, stable one, married to Heather, Ethan's older sister, 2 kids, PTA dad energy. I trusted him. I explained everything, every ugly detail, and Zach didn't hesitate. He wired us $20K that afternoon, said no rush on paying it back. I cried. Ethan, he got pissed. "You went behind my back to my best friend. You emasculated me, Maddie. Like, dude, you lost our money on digital monkey cartoons and you're mad I saved our asses." Screw that. I told him point blank, "You did this, not me, and if you ever put your pride over our survival again, I'm out." That was the first time I meant it. The first time he realized I wasn't the soft little wife he could guilt into silence anymore. But the real storm hadn't even started yet. Because 2 months later, I caught his sister cheating, and everything went to hell. So, about Heather, Ethan's sister. It started with something small, like most disasters do. I dropped off cookies for her kids. They loved my cookies. I was the fun aunt. Remember, I rang the bell, and Heather opened the door looking frazzled as hell. Hair wet, phone in hand, barely glanced at me. Hey, can you just leave them on the counter? I'm kinda in the middle of something. Weird. Heather was usually chipper and chatty, especially if there was a chance to talk about her followers or her latest brand collab. That day she looked like she'd just run a mile in heels and wanted me gone. So I left. But then, I didn't. I sat in my car, windows cracked, music off. Something felt off. Call it intuition, call it paranoia, whatever. But I knew. About 10 minutes later, I see a man walk out of her front door, baseball cap pulled low, hoodie up, moving like he was trying not to be seen. And she, Heather, walked him out, hugged him, kissed his cheek. Yeah, not her husband. Zach's a big guy, bald. This dude was skinny, dark hair. Very much not Zach. And I just sat there, in my Prius, mouth open, hands frozen on the wheel. I didn't even take a picture. I was too stunned. When I got home, I told Ethan everything. Every damn detail. I expected shock, denial, something. Instead, he says, "Did anyone else see?" I blinked. What? He repeated it. Did anyone else see? That's when it hit me. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't even confused. He already knew. I was like, you knew, and you're just okay with it. Like, hello, your sister is cheating on your best friend, the guy who bailed us out when we were eating peanut butter sandwiches for dinner. And he goes, maybe they have an open marriage. You don't know what they've agreed to. Please. Zach would never. I told Ethan I needed to tell Zach the truth. He practically lost his shit. Said I was overstepping, that I was going to ruin the family, that it wasn't my business. I said, you didn't think it was a problem when I went to Zach for help. But now, it's suddenly too personal. We argued for hours. He tried guilt, silence. At one point, he even threatened to leave me if I said anything. That's when my brain clicked. This wasn't about Heather anymore. This was about Ethan. His rage, his defensiveness, his refusal to let the truth come out. It was personal. I started thinking back, his sudden mood swings, all that cash he couldn't account for, the way he kept checking my bank account even though we weren't sharing finances anymore. And the girl, his new intern. 21, TikTok famous, way too comfortable calling him E. I was connecting dots I didn't even want to look at, but they were there, clear as day. And suddenly, I couldn't ignore the possibility he was cheating too. The betrayal didn't even feel sharp anymore. It felt heavy, like dead weight. Still, I knew what I had to do. I went to Zach's house a few days later, alone. Heather wasn't home. Thank God. I sat down with him and just told him. I didn't give him dramatic assumptions or accusations. I told him exactly what I saw, that I couldn't be 100% sure. But it didn't look innocent, that Heather was acting cagey, that I'd felt sick ever since. He just stared at me. Didn't speak for a full minute. Then he whispered, I knew it. Apparently, he'd been suspecting something for months. She'd been distant, always on her phone, canceling plans, picking fights out of nowhere. He felt it in his gut, but didn't have the proof. Now he had something. He didn't explode, didn't scream, just nodded, thanked me, and asked me not to say anything until he figured out what to do. I agreed. I walked out of that house, feeling like my lungs had collapsed, like I'd betrayed someone, even though I'd done the right thing. Ethan, of course, was waiting for me when I got home, eyes blazing, face red. You told him, didn't you? I didn't answer, didn't need to. He started yelling about loyalty, about ruining his sister's life, about how I never should have gotten involved. And then he said the thing that really did it. You don't care about this family. You just want to play the hero. No. I'd kept my mouth shut during the gambling. I'd worked my ass off to get us out of debt. I dealt with his fragile ego and his performative therapy, and now I was the villain. I looked at him and said, "If I cheated on you, would you want someone to tell you?" He hesitated. Which, by the way, is not the correct response. I packed a bag that night. Not because I was done, because I was almost done. That's worse. I think being almost done. You still hope for change, still hang on to the version of them you wish was real. A few weeks passed. Zach didn't say anything. Heather acted like everything was fine. Ethan was cold, but quiet. Then it happened. Zach filed for divorce. Boom! Out of nowhere. No drama, no explanation. Just a calm email to the family group chat saying he and Heather were separating. People freaked out. Ethan's mom was inconsolable. His dad blamed Zach. And Heather? She came to my house, pounding on the door, screaming at me like a banshee. "You bitch. You destroyed my family. You jealous slut." I didn't even flinch, just stood there, watching her lose it on my front lawn. Eyes wild. Hair a mess, like Karma herself had slapped her awake. I waited for her to finish, then said, "You destroyed your family. I just told the truth." Ethan refused to speak to me for weeks after that. Slept in the guest room. Avoided me during breakfast. Told his mom I was unstable. Heather blocked me on everything and told her kids I was evil. Cool. Then came the whispers. From Ethan's side of the family. That I had poisoned Zach against Heather. That I was controlling. Too ambitious. Bitter. Bitter. I saved that man's reputation, his finances, his goddamn house. I held our life together with duct tape and Red Bull while he cried over crypto losses. And now I was the problem. Nah, I was done. Like, done. One night, I called a family dinner. I told everyone the full story. No edits, no filters. I told them Ethan lost our money, that Heather was cheating, that I'd been gaslit and scapegoated for saving a man who was too kind to out his cheating wife. Ethan looked like someone had hit him with a frying pan. I ended it with this. I'm divorcing Ethan. He can move out in 2 weeks. And if any of you still think I'm the villain, go ahead and block me now. Silence. Total fucking silence. Ethan tried to protest, said he was blindsided, that he still loved me, but I was already gone, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. There was nothing left. He begged. He did the whole rom-com move, spa vouchers, date nights, booked therapy again. Didn't matter. I didn't want a better version of him. I wanted me back, and that meant walking. So I filed the papers, got a new job in a new state, packed my stuff and drove across 2 states, blasting Lizzo the whole way. I changed my number, got a dog, bought a 1-bedroom apartment, and decorated it exactly how I wanted. And for the first time in years, I slept through the night. Ethan. He got remarried to a 21-year-old, Heather's old influencer friend. Cute. That would have been the end of it. But of course, life had other plans, because last week, he called me crying. Apparently, his new wife and Heather disappeared with his money. All of it. And I laughed. Out loud, right into the phone. Because Karma, she's petty and punctual. I swear to God, I wish I had recorded that phone call. I would have played it back any time I needed a little serotonin boost. So, Ethan calls me out of the blue sobbing. Like full-on, can't catch his breath. Help me type sobbing. I didn't even recognize the number at first. When I answered and heard his voice, I thought someone had died. Nope, just him. Dying of consequences. Apparently, his new wife, let's call her Samantha, and Heather had both been acting weird for a few weeks. Quiet. Whispering. Locked phones. Sudden spa days and girls' nights with 0 receipts or location sharing. He thought maybe they were planning a surprise party or something. Dumbass. Then last week, he woke up to an empty apartment. No Samantha, no Heather, no note, no text, just silence. So he called the police, thinking they'd been kidnapped or something. The police got back to him a day later with a big fat, "They're safe and voluntarily gone. Don't contact them." I choked on my coffee when he told me, like, you really thought the girl you met on Instagram and married 6 months later wouldn't pull a runner? And with your sister. Come on. He said, "I think they took my money." I said, "You think?" Turns out they'd wiped out his business account, his personal savings, the joint credit line he added her to, and even pulled cash advances off 2 of his cards. Beautiful. Apparently, they went to Europe. Paris, then Italy, first class, posting on social, tagging boutique hotels, champagne breakfasts, silk robes. I knew because I looked it up. Their profiles were open, just blocked from Ethan and his side of the family. Amateurs. I found them in 10 minutes. When I told Ethan, he lost it, started ranting and crying again, saying I was the only person who ever cared, begging me to help him get his life back. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then he said, "You're so good with money and strategy. I just need a plan. You're smart. You always fix things." Fix things. Fix what the mess he chose. This man ruined me financially, emotionally, and publicly trashed me when I told the truth. And now I'm supposed to swoop in like some divorced fairy godmother. Nah, not happening. So I told him exactly that. I'm not your wife. I'm not your fixer. I'm not your friend. I'm the woman you disrespected until karma finally did the job for me. He went quiet. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Huh. Sweet summer child. 2 nights later, guess who calls me? His mom. Middle of the night. I almost didn't answer, but instinct kicked in. It was that kind of call. She was frantic, panicking, saying Ethan was in legal trouble and they needed my help. I was like, what does this have to do with me? Then she drops the bomb. Apparently, Samantha's parents had filed a police report. They were accusing Ethan of grooming their daughter. I almost dropped my phone. Let me do the math for you. Samantha was 21 now. That means 4 years ago. She was 17, when Ethan first started following her, liking every post, DMing her, back when he was still married to me. And Heather. Yeah. Heather introduced them, said she was such a sweet girl and would be perfect for Ethan. I thought it was a joke. Turns out it was an arranged crime. His mom is crying, saying she's lying. She said she was 19 when they started. This isn't fair. Except Samantha now claims the relationship started when she was 17 and that Ethan emotionally manipulated her into moving in and marrying him. She wasn't standing by him. She was flipping on him. Hard. And honestly good, I told his mom. Even if it was legal, it was still disgusting. I hope he rots. She begged me to help, said I was a lawyer, that I could represent him or at least talk to someone. I laughed. I really laughed. Lady, your son cheated on me with a minor. He drained my bank account. Blamed me for his sister's cheating. Let your entire family call me crazy and cut me off. And now you want a favor. Nope. I told her I'd be more than happy to represent Samantha if this went to court. Hung up before she could cry again. After that call, I couldn't sleep. I lay there just spiraling. Not because I was sad, because I was disgusted. Disgusted that I ever loved that man, that I defended him, that I tried to rebuild with him after he shattered everything. He had a literal child on the side, a TikTok famous teenager who thought his startup life was cool. And I was washing dishes and bailing us out of debt while he was off playing mentor to his next disaster. I blocked him. Blocked his mom, changed my number, again. A week passed. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Then Zach called. Yeah, that Zach. Ex-brother-in-law, still a decent human. He said he just wanted to fill me in case I heard rumors. Apparently, Samantha and Heather did come back. Briefly, Heather tried to play innocent, said Samantha took things too far, and that she thought the trip was just a spontaneous girls' trip. Bullshit. Samantha, she came back with receipts, literal screenshots, emails, photos, all timestamped, all showing that Ethan had been messaging her way before she turned 18. Her parents lost their minds, said they were pressing charges, until Ethan agreed to settle. He gave them a huge chunk of money, whatever was left of his accounts. Zach said it was probably 6 figures. Gone. Wiped out. The guy who once sneered at me for only making $85K a year now had less than that to his name. Heather tried to come crawling back to Zach, called him crying, asked for help, said she couldn't find work and her apartment lease was up. He told her to fuck off. Politely. Didn't even let her talk to the kids. Now, the whole family, Ethan, Heather, and their parents are living in a 1-bedroom rental in the suburbs. No saving, no careers, no social circle. The golden children finally tarnished. And me, I'm sipping iced matcha in my little sunlit apartment, dog at my feet, fully remote job with a chill boss and a 401k. I don't feel bad, not even a little. Because I didn't do this to them. They did this to themselves. Every lie, every manipulation, every ego-driven choice finally came back to bite. And honestly, watching from a distance is better than any revenge I could have planned. Because this wasn't just karma. This was clarity. I think the weirdest part of all this. I didn't even feel satisfied when I found out Ethan was broke, humiliated, and living in a 1-bedroom with his sister and his parents. Not in the way I thought I would. Like, yes, it was poetic. Yes, karma finally showed up wearing heels and carrying receipts. But when the dust settled, all I really felt was tired. Not sad, not happy. Just done. I was done carrying all of this in my chest. The guilt, the confusion, the leftover what-ifs. They didn't deserve that kind of space anymore. Because here's the truth. No one really says out loud, revenge doesn't fix you. It doesn't undo the betrayal or rewind the years you spent shrinking yourself just to keep the peace. It just gives you silence. And sometimes silence is enough. I remember the morning I really knew I was okay. I was brushing my teeth in my new apartment, sun coming in through the bathroom window, Taylor Swift playing softly in the background. My dog was snoring on the bed. I had this random thought. Wow, I don't have to check anyone's mood before I speak today. That hit harder than I expected. For years, I walked on eggshells. Every comment from Ethan was a test. Every reaction from his family was a performance. Every decision I made. I double-checked through the lens of will this upset someone. I didn't realize how much of myself I'd handed away. Piece by piece, until there was barely any me left. Now I wake up and take up space. I buy scented candles without justification. I cook weird meals at 11 p.m. I paint my nails 5 different colors just because I can. I talk to my friends for hours without being interrupted by a moody man-child with a god complex. Freedom isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's just breathing and not feeling watched. Anyway, I thought that'd be the end of it. I got what I needed: closure, peace, boundaries. But no, of course not. Because men like Ethan never really go away. They just wait for the right moment to slide back in. A few weeks ago, I got an email. No subject line, just his name in the sender box. I shouldn't have opened it, but I was curious and maybe a little bored. It started like this. Hey, Maddie, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I needed to say something. I almost deleted it right there. But I kept reading. He went on and on about how sorry he was, how he'd lost himself, and how he finally understood what he did to me. He mentioned therapy, said he was journaling, reading books about narcissism. Cute. And then came the real reason he reached out. I just miss talking to you. You always understood me. You were my anchor. I stared at the screen for a full minute before laughing out loud. Not the ha-ha laugh, the hollow dead inside. Are you kidding me laugh. I closed the laptop. Didn't respond. Didn't even block him. Because he's not a threat anymore, just a sad little echo in an inbox I rarely check. I told my therapist about it later. She asked if I wanted closure. I said, closure is overrated. I want insulation. And that's exactly what I've built. I don't talk to anyone from Ethan's side of the family. Zach and I text once, every few months, mostly memes or pet pics, but that's it. Heather never tried to reach out again. Thank God. The rest of them dead to me. I deleted old photos, unfollowed mutual friends, even got rid of the couch we bought together because it smelled like regret. I used to think healing meant forgiving. Now I think healing just means removing access. Access to your time, your energy, your narrative. No one gets to rewrite my story, to make themselves the hero anymore. I even started writing again. Not about Ethan, about myself. Little essays, journals, snippets of thoughts I used to suppress. Things like, I wasn't crazy. I was reacting to chaos. It wasn't too much. It was just too much for him. Being difficult is better than being disposable. I saved them in a folder called Unlearning. That folder's probably more valuable than any apology I'll never get. Some nights, I still get flashbacks. Moments where I remember how small I used to feel. How I'd over-explain everything to avoid setting him off. How I blamed myself when he shut down for days. I don't judge that version of me. She was trying to survive. But damn, I'm glad she left. And as for the part of me that wanted a dramatic ending, the big movie scene where I tell him off with perfectly timed insults and walk away in slow motion. Nah. I think the most powerful thing I ever did was walk away quietly. No tears, no begging, no explanation. Just no more. Ethan will probably keep trying. I know how he works. He'll test the waters every few months. Try a different angle. Appeal to nostalgia. Or maybe even pretend to check in. But I won't bite. Not because I'm bitter. Because I've healed. And part of healing is knowing you don't owe anyone your forgiveness, your friendship, or your emotional labor. Sometimes, survival is just saying, I deserve peace, and then building a life around that sentence. That's what I'm doing now. A few friends asked if I'm dating again. I'm not. And I'm not in a rush. Right now, I'm dating my damn self. I take myself out for brunch. I dress up for no reason. I laugh louder than I used to. I cry when I need to and don't feel embarrassed about it. And I don't shrink for anyone. I don't accept half-assed apologies from people who knew better and did worse. I don't let "but he was hurting" be an excuse anymore, because I was hurting too. And I didn't hurt anyone to cope. So no, Ethan doesn't get a redemption arc in my life. He gets a lesson, a reminder that you can only push a woman so far before she stops waiting for change and becomes it. So here I am, changed. And finally free. So this wild thing happened 2 weeks ago. I ran into Heather. No warning, no build-up. No, hey, are you around? Just boom. Whole Foods parking lot. I was juggling reusable bags and an overpriced smoothie. And there she was, standing near her car, which by the way looked like it was held together by hope and duct tape. She looked rough. And I don't mean that in a catty way. I mean in a life has slapped the shit out of me kind of way. Hair tied back with a rubber band, eyes puffy, hoodie with a hole in the sleeve. I almost didn't recognize her, but she recognized me instantly. Our eyes met. She froze. I froze. And for about 5 seconds, it felt like time stopped. Like all the bullshit, the years, the chaos, it all came rushing back at once and settled right between us. I thought she'd ignore me, walk away, pretend she didn't see me. Nope. She walked right up. Hey, she said, voice shaky, too soft for someone who once screamed at me on my own porch. I didn't respond. I just waited. She looked down at her shoes, then back up at me. "You look good." Okay, not what I expected, but sure. Then she took a deep breath and said it. "I'm sorry." 2 words. Simple. Quiet. But they hit harder than anything she'd ever said before. I didn't say, "It's okay," because it wasn't. I didn't say, "I forgive you," because I didn't. I just stood there and let the silence stretch out. And for the first time, she didn't try to fill it with excuses. She just nodded. "I know I was awful, and I know I don't deserve anything from you. I wanted to say it." I looked at her. Really looked. This wasn't the polished, smug Heather from 3 years ago. This was someone who had been knocked down hard and was still trying to figure out how to stand again. And I believed her. Not because I wanted to, but because I could see the cracks. "People don't fake that kind of tired," I said. "I appreciate you saying it." "That's it. Nothing more." She nodded again. "I'm in a program now. Trying to get back on track. Kids won't talk to me. Zach won't even text me back." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to snap back, remind her why. Another part of me just wanted to finish loading my groceries and get the hell out. Instead, I asked, "Why'd you do it back then?" She blinked. "You mean the cheating?" I nodded. She let out this bitter little laugh. "Because I thought I could. Because I thought I was invincible. I thought Zach would never leave. That I'd always land on my feet. I was bored and selfish and stupid. At least she was honest." Then she said something that stuck with me. "You were the only one who ever actually gave a shit. And I hated you for it." I didn't respond. Didn't need to. She looked like she was about to cry. So I just said, "Take care of yourself." And walked away. That night, I thought I'd spiral. Reopen old wounds. Question everything again. But weirdly, I didn't. It felt like I'd closed a tab in my brain that had been open for way too long. Like I finally got the answer to a question I stopped asking. That was the closure I didn't know I needed. Not because it changed the past, but because it confirmed that I didn't need to carry it anymore. I told my best friend about it the next day. She was like, "You're so calm." I would have spat in her face. And trust me, 3 years ago I might have, but now that level of rage costs too much. I have better things to spend my energy on, like joy, and overpriced matcha, and impulse plane tickets. And speaking of plane tickets, I took a solo trip last weekend. Just me, a little Airbnb in Seattle, and no plan whatsoever. It was the first vacation I've taken since the divorce. The first time I've let myself breathe in a new place without wondering if someone was going to get mad I didn't text back fast enough. I walked along the waterfront, bought a secondhand leather jacket, ate way too many pastries. Didn't think about Ethan once. Until the last night. I was in this tiny wine bar, half a glass in, when this guy sits down a couple stools over, mid-40s, kind eyes, good energy. He looked over and said, "Rough day or good wine?" I laughed. "Both." We chatted a bit. Nothing flirty, just two strangers being human at the same time in the same place. He asked what I did. I told him I was in marketing. Freelance now, that I used to work in corporate, but it chewed me up and spat me out. He said, "Good for you for getting out." And I don't know why, but I got choked up for a second, not because of the words. Because it was the first time someone had heard my story, even just a sliver of it without judgment, correction, or defensiveness. He didn't know my past. And yet, he validated my present. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. Then he got up, smiled, and said, "Well, Maddie, I hope life keeps getting better for you." And just like that, he was gone. I didn't even ask his name. Didn't need to. It wasn't about romance. It wasn't about anything, really. It was just a reminder that there's life after heartbreak. That kindness doesn't always come with strings attached. That people can see you really see you, even if they don't know what you've survived. I flew home the next day feeling lighter, not healed all the way, not fixed, but better. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone. Not to Ethan, not to Heather, not to Zach, not even to myself. Because I've already proved the most important thing, that I can rebuild from ashes. That I can burn the old version of me and still rise, stronger and sharper. That I can walk through hell and come out clean. I think that's what survival really is. Not the dramatic speeches, not the final showdowns. Just waking up one day and realizing you don't hurt anymore. Or at least, not the way you used to. And if that's not freedom, I don't know what is.